Hey, what's up? This is Duskmos, and today I've got probably one of the best looking and nicest sounding reverbs that I've had the pleasure to have on the channel, and that is the Vongon Ultrasheer. This thing just sounds fantastic. It's silky and smooth, and it's not in your face. It's like mature. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but it's grown up. Like this is classy reverb. It's got a vibrato feature with a random wave or a smooth wave. You can control, depth and rate. It's stereo in and out. The reverb sounds really, really nice. It's got a brightness control where you can kind of cut off some of the highs and make it a little darker if you want. And it just sounds great and looks fantastic. Let me look at this thing. It's encased in walnut. Like it's a masterpiece. It's beautiful. And yeah, I'm gonna hook it up and we'll hear how it sounds. This is Signal Colors. So the Ultrasheer has 5 knobs, 3 toggle switches, 2 soft latching foot switches, 1/4 inch ins and outs, and a 9-volt power point, as well as 2 indicator lights above the reverb and vibrato to show you their bypass status. So from left to right, we've got the vibrato controls on this side and the reverb controls on this side. This first knob is the rate control of the vibrato from 0.75 Hertz to 10 Hertz, the depth from 0 to 10. We've got the toggle switch for a cyclical or randomized vibrato, and the vibrato bypass foot switch. On the reverb side, you've got the mix control from 0 to 100%, so fully dry to fully wet. And on the right, we've got a brightness control from 0 to 10, and you can adjust the cutoff to make it a bit of a darker reverb tone, or leave it fully open if you want a brighter sound. The last knob is decay, which allows you to control the length of the reverb trails from 0 to 10. Here we've got a toggle switch that lets you either maintain the trails or cut them off when you bypass the reverb side of the effect. And this is an interesting toggle. It allows you to pass the reverb into the vibrato, so it gives you the full vibrato effect on the reverb signal with the trails and everything, or pass the vibrato into the reverb. And these are of course the bypass switches to either bypass the reverb side or the vibrato side. And that's it. Everything's here on the front panel, really easy to navigate and understand. Nothing on the back or side, so yeah, really clean, really straightforward. Now let's get it hooked up and hear how it sounds. So as you can tell, I've set things up a little bit differently this time. I've got the Analog 4 MKII over here from Elektron and the Analog RYTM or Rhythm Mark II from Elektron on this side. So the Analog 4 is providing the synth sounds, passing into the Ultrasheer, and then on to the Analog Rhythm where I'm adding drums. And I'm doing it this way because ever since Vongon sent this over for me to test out for the channel, I've had so much fun mixing it in. I think it fits really well with these two devices. It just sits in the mix really well and just sounds super good. And I thought, why not, add a drum pattern to the amazing stuff that's happening with these two? But I still want to make sure you really are hearing what the Ultrasheer is doing with the Analog 4. So I'm definitely going to put an emphasis on making sure that you hear the clean and then the affected signal. And then we'll throw in drums just for fun. So to kick things off, I'm going to start with the Analog 4 providing a loop. I made 4 different loops. The first one just consists of some simple chord stabs, and I thought that would be a really good place to start because it'll let you hear what the Ultrasheer is doing in kind of filling out and beefing up those chords, or those short little stabs, and yeah, really hear what this is doing and providing, and it's fantastic. So the clean pattern sounds like this. And the delay is coming from the Analog 4's internal delay engine. Okay, we'll go ahead and engage the Ultrasheer. So we got the decay pretty short. Go ahead and up it a little bit. Yeah. Pretty epic. A little higher. I love it. All right, all the way. You'll notice because trails is set to none, when I bypass, cuts right out. And then comes back in. In this mode, it does do a brief dip of the audio. It's hard to tell in this patch exactly, but it's there. In trails mode, it doesn't do that. You get the full effect. So now's a good opportunity to show off the brightness control. When you move it fast, you really kind of hear the sweep. It's got low resonance, which I prefer. We'll dial it back a little bit. So you can hear it's much darker. And you can beef up the mix to kind of compensate for sort of the lower perceived volume. Brighten it up again. Go to some short decay. In low brightness. Okay, now I'm going to engage the vibrato. The depth is high and the rate is high. And we can go ahead and up that. So depth, we keep the rate a little lower. And up the brightness and the decay so we can kind of really hear it. So if you kind of back off the depth a little bit, those pitch variations are lessened and it just sounds a little bit more like a subtle sort of tape or pitch imperfection. As soon as you get the rate up though, you really start to hear it. Which is cool because if you want to do that intentionally, you can really get some mega warble. All right, so right now the vibrato is passing into the reverbs. That's why you hear the sort of wavy vibrato dip, but then the reverb is pretty steady. So we'll switch it. So now you hear it big time because it's applying the vibrato to the reverb signal, so post-reverb. So you back the depth down, the rate. Full depth. And we'll do full rate just for experimentation. Now we'll take it from cycle mode to random, which is my favorite. So at a slow rate, but high depth, it doesn't happen as frequently, but it's more noticeable when it does happen. We'll go ahead and throw some drums in. Flip the mode around. So now it's max vibrato depth passing into an unaffected reverb. I'll show you the tails or the trails mode. So it's bypassed, but it's still doing its thing. And vibrato is still engaged. Really obvious if I do cycle here. But it's cool, you can still hear the decay from when the reverb was last engaged. And I'll bring it back. Oh yeah. And there you go, that's pattern 1. Okay, so I'm back with a second pattern here on the A4, and the drums are going to stay the same throughout. I'm just focusing on what the Ultrasheer is doing with the A4, because it's the star of the show. So the clean pattern. As you can hear, it's more harmonically rich. Just to hear how the Ultrasheer handles that. Go ahead and engage. Already it sounds fuller. I'll throw some drums in. Engage the vibrato side. Bring down the brightness. Reroute the vibrato reverb. Going for extremes here. But that's cool, it sounds really seasick in a good way. Really fast rate, but low depth. 100% mix. Real crazy. We'll do random. Just the reverb. More subtle blend. Really long decay. All right, now moving on to number 3. Okay, I've got pattern 3 queued up, and that's basically more of a lead type sound. So let's hear the clean pattern. We'll engage the Ultrasheer. Up the mix a little. It just sounds good, you know? We'll add the vibrato. A little bit lower rate. We'll throw in some drums. Clearly a bit more sterile. And there we go. Pattern number 3. Let's move on to number 4. Okay, back with pattern number 4. This one sounds a bit more bassy, and so I definitely want to demonstrate what that sounds like going through the Ultrasheer. It also might bear a striking resemblance to something you may or may not recognize, but I stumbled on it by accident, and I was like, you know, that's kind of fun. I'm going to throw it in here. And it's not a one-for-one, but let's see if you can guess what it is in the comments. So the clean pattern sounds like this. We'll go ahead and engage the Ultrasheer. It definitely handles the bassier sounds. And it made this otherwise a little bit more sterile sounding sound a little bit more like trance stabs in the best way. Just fuller. Engage the vibrato. Flip the modes. The routing, really. Just the vibrato. Bypass. Mix. Let's brightness down all the way, mix up all the way, decay down all the way. And there we go. That's the Ultrasheer. So what can I say about the Ultrasheer that I haven't already? It's a beautiful effect in both sound and build, and it's capable of producing lush reverb with a dramatic vibrato. Vongon designed the Ultrasheer based on a classic reverb from 1978, the Lexicon 224. However, instead of being in a black box the size of a computer tower like the 224, it's housed in this beautiful chunk of CNC'd walnut. Even better, it's also less than 1/10 of the street price of the Lexicon. The build quality is top-notch. Of course, the wood housing is solid, and the knobs remind me of those found on vintage synthesizers and have a really pleasing resistance when turning. And of course, the switches and jacks all feel top quality as well. There's a good amount of hands-on control options on the Ultrasheer, covering all the essentials and then some. The vibrato has a random wave and a steady sine wave, and having the option to swap between either is really nice because it allows you to kind of tailor exactly the sort of vibrato style you're looking for. Also, having the ability to route the vibrato into the reverb, or then choosing to instead apply it post-reverb, really opens up the door for even more creative possibilities. The Ultrasheer sounds great on multiple sources, and it's a great tool for electronic music production with stereo ins and outs, and clearly it works perfectly well with line level signals. You can use the Ultrasheer for subtle hits of atmosphere, or for building big swells to create a huge wall of lush sound. Definitely see myself using this both heavy-handed or just for adding a little bit of space or stereo vibrato to a number of sources. If you're interested in picking up an Ultrasheer of your own, check out vongon.com for current availability. I've also linked to it in the description. I for one won't be giving up this one, so yeah, don't ask me. You can't have it. As always, thanks for watching and for checking out the Ultrasheer with me. See you next time.